Well, hey everybody, and welcome to the live chat. I'm glad that you're with me here this Sunday. I just wanted to let you know that you're going to see this name here on the show regularly, which is called Car Cost Canada. And Car Cost Canada is going to be a sponsor of the whole channel. And really what it is, it's a great way for anybody that's looking for a new car to save some money. So the history behind how Car Cost Canada came to be involved with Motormouth is that years ago I did some work for a brand I'm sure a lot of you know, which is leasebusters.com, and the same people are involved with Car Cost Canada. Basically what you do is you go over there and you do a search for a vehicle and you find out all of the discounts on the car. It's an absolutely amazing service, and I've been finding out more about it in the last month because we've been talking back and forth. So for example, maybe you're looking for a Toyota RAV4. You go there, you type in the trim, exactly what you're looking for. It gives you what the dealer paid for the vehicle, any discounts that are happening, and the RAV4 would be a perfect example right now because the new one's coming, so the existing 2018s might have a discount that you're not aware of, reduced interest rates and all of that. So I'll be telling you more about that as we go through. All right, I want to also let you know that I'm getting great traction getting people to go over to Instagram. If you want to go to Instagram, just type in Motormouth_auto, getting lots of people signing up there. Not as many people going over to the Facebook page Motormouth, but I put a lot of news items on there, lots of different stories and anything that's newsworthy. For example, Tesla's quarterly results came out. They blew the doors off what people were expecting them to, to make, and all those sorts of things. So if you're going to go to Facebook, just type in Motormouth and you'll find it. Okay, one question I have for you, and you can type it in the live box, is how long do you want this show to be? I'm doing it about an hour, but is that too long? Do the average length that people actually watch, and I see all the data after I'm finished, is about 20 to 25 minutes. So should this show only be 25 minutes? I don't know. You jump in. Also, what's going on the road? I'm going to Mexico this week. They're going to be producing the very last Volkswagen Beetle. Now, I actually told this to some people and they still thought the air-cooled Beetle was being made. No, the very last, modern Beetle is being made in Puebla, Mexico, which has that factory's been there, I think, for 30 years. And so we're going to be there on Halloween, which is going to be really cool. The following week, I am going to be driving the RAV4 in California. Later that week, I'll be driving the GLE in Texas. And then I believe it's a week or so later, I'm going to be driving the new Audi A4. So that's what's going on with the channel. All right, let's get in and see what people are saying. Hey, Zach, I'm considering an active eco mode on my Hyundai Accent. Is actually doing anything? Could it be something better left off, an attempt to promote the life of the vehicle, to prolong the life of the vehicle? Whether you have the vehicle in eco mode or not isn't going to really do anything. All it's doing is making the response of the throttle a little bit less lively. So when you push on the throttle, it's much more smooth and progressive. The transmission will go up to a higher gear. It won't change gears as quickly. It's not really going to do anything to prolong the life of the vehicle. The problem is when you have a very small four-cylinder engine anyway, you're not maybe going to notice that much between eco and regular mode. So in my opinion, drive it in the one that you think is most responsive to the way you like to drive, and use that one. Hey, I'm looking at a 2019 Tucson. Any thoughts, or should I wait for the new RAV4? It's funny because just yesterday, I got back from California driving the Veloster N, and the video will be out here in the next little while. Veloster N is the high performance version, just waiting on a little bit more footage, and then I'll be editing that probably tomorrow or on Tuesday. And while we were there, we had a chance to drive the 2019 Tucson. And really what they've done is they've done a very mild facelift to the outside. They've changed the dash a little bit, but it's not really that different. What I suggest you do is, if it's between that and the RAV4, wait until I get a chance to drive the RAV4 next week. In my opinion, the RAV4 is going to be such a compelling package. It's got a tried, normally or naturally aspirated 2.5-liter engine. It's got the new 8-speed automatic that's in the Camry. It's going to have much better handling. It's built on that Toyota Global platform. Way better interior. Android Auto is not going to be coming initially, but it will be coming eventually, and Toyota has committed to doing that. I think it's going to be the one to beat, especially in light of the fact that Honda's had some issues around the 1.5-liter turbo. So hold off on that. Ryan from Guelph, Rust Check or Crown, thanks. Well, full disclosure, we've done segments on driving television on both Crown and Rust Check. They're both excellent products. Yeah, I say either one of them is going to be fine. The main thing is that you do it every year. Have your annual, spray of the car. They're both excellent products. I got no problem with either. And those are the only two that I recommend, by the way. People email me all the time. I'm at the dealer. They want to sell me Rustproofing. Don't just go to Crown or Rust Check. Flip a coin. Pick the one you like. Josh says, my mother needs an SUV. She has the last Q7, now needs 5 seats, looking at GLE and X5. We go to the Laurentians, need space. Any more suggestions? Yeah, the new Q8 would be another suggestion. The Q8 is a 2-row, 5-passenger utility based on the same platform as the new Q7. So it's got lots of room. The back seat leg room is absolutely impressive. So it's plenty of room. Big cargo area, but it is a 2-row, 5-passenger, much sleeker looking. So the new Q8 is coming soon. So that's one you should consider as well. Jack says, being absent on the show for a few weeks due to work, glad to join you today. Your thoughts on the new BMW 3 Series? Somebody asked me about this last there's a new 3 Series there. So it looks like a BMW. Inside, they've updated the dash to have more tech like its competitors with digital cockpits and dashboards and bigger screens. But the proof, as they say, is in the driving. No longer available with a manual. I don't think that's really going to matter much because most people drive the automatic. But, one thing I've noticed over the decades of driving lots of new cars is BMW has been the benchmark for driving dynamics for a lot of years. And just as a lot of car companies catch up to BMW in terms of handling and dynamics, they come out with a new one and then they pull ahead. So the proof will be in driving it. There is an event for this car next week in Spain. Once again, never invited by BMW. But yeah, we'll be getting some information on that soon. This is a question. Hey, Zach, any non-confidential insider news about the new Mazda 3 reveal at the LA Auto Show? No, it's pretty much going to be happening. So we just have to wait about a month now to the third week of November is when the LA Auto Show will be on. Why are manufacturers pushing for panoramic sunroofs in sedans and station wagons? Because people like them. I personally don't. We have a Porsche Cayenne that, if you've listened to this or watched this many times, was a vehicle that I bought because it was a special vehicle that we were waiting for. It wasn't configured exactly the way I wanted. It has a big panoramic roof that I'm not a big fan of. So yeah, that's something that I think some people love or don't, but I think more people are asking for it than not. DBax97, hey Zach, you have a great channel. I truly enjoy your reviews and insight. Keep up the great work. Well, I appreciate that. Matt Lebo, longtime listener from Halifax, Nova Scotia. What are your thoughts on the Tesla Model 3? I know that you aren't a fan of Tesla or Musk, but the reviews are great and sales seems to be good and increasing. Well, I have been, I've always said that I think that the one thing that Elon Musk and Tesla has been able to do is to build an aspirational electric car. Electric cars, weren't really anything until Tesla came along and made them a vehicle that people actually would spend a lot of money on. You see at the other end of the market discounts on mainline cars like the Nissan Leaf and the Bolt over the previous generation or the Volt. They had to have hugely discounted leases in order to move these vehicles. Tesla, on the other hand, charges over $100,000 and people are lined up to get it. So on that front, they've been able to do a great job. Cars that perform very well, innovative in-dash technology that is being copied bluntly by a lot of other people. I am not a fan of the antics that Elon Musk gets up to. I think a lot of what he does is he talks a lot of nonsense, and he doesn't back it up for sometimes years and years and years, promising things that just won't happen. The thing I'm waiting for, so yes, the Model 3 has been a great seller because there's been this big backlog of people that have been waiting for this car. So when they start selling them to all of those people, will there be enough people to fill that void in? Probably will be. And the other thing I'm waiting to see is how reliable are they going to be? There's been lots of stories about Tesla over the last year, basically, since they started making the Model 3 or trying to make the Model 3, about all kinds of production headaches. The body apparently was the big one, making the body of the car. There's been stories also about, companies that take apart vehicles, and they're saying that the body of the Model 3 could have issues. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, is the repair record of this vehicle going to be good in the long run? And Tesla is below average in that concern. Joe says, hey, Zach, a 2016 BRZ or a 2016 BMW 2 Series, your thoughts? Looking for a fun rear-wheel drive car for next summer. This is a no-brainer. Absolutely get the 2 Series. BMW is absolutely the best. I think that it's the best in the line of BMW is the 2 Series. Paul says, do you think the Volvo XC60 is a downgrade in quality from Audi Q7, Porsche Cayenne, and BMW X5? Well, they're not exactly competing in the same class. No, because the XC90 probably competes closest. It's kind of in between there because it's a 2-row 5-passenger in the Cayenne, and for most people buy the X5, which is 2 rows. The Volvo XC60 is a great product. We were talking about this the other day with one of my colleagues and saying, the XC40 is such a good product that I think that it's going to steal some sales away from the XC60, because the XC40 is just so roomy for a compact utility. And then if you want the 3-row version, you're going to go to the XC90. It depends, I don't think it's on the same level as the Porsche Cayenne, no. I don't think it is on the same level as the Audi Q7 with the higher trim levels. I don't think it is. So the quick answer is no, I don't think it is, but it's great in the class that it's in. What are your thoughts on the Ram 1500 Limited as a family vehicle? Haven't seen a review of the 19 from you yet. No, I did do a review of the all-new Ram. It's on the channel, so please go back and search. And I have to tell you, that's one of the best new vehicles I drove all this year. They did an excellent job. It is so beautifully finished on the inside. It's so smooth and quiet. They have these actuators that actually bolt onto the body. And they, just like noise-canceling headphones, put an opposite waveform in your ear to cancel out noise. These are active mounts on the chassis that cancel out vibration in the chassis. So when you have any kind of vibration from the engine or the transmission, these actually cancel them out. So the interior is so quiet, much more insulation, acoustic glass. It really is a nice vehicle. So please go and search the channel again. There is a 2019 Ram video up there. Okay. Will the Koreans ever catch up to the Japanese? I think that yes, the Koreans are, in some ways, they've surpassed the Japanese, not on every model, but on some models. I think they've done a great job. Look at that, the G70, there it is, the G70 from Genesis. That might be right now the best compact premium sports sedan on the market, especially when you can factor in the price and what it offers. 365 horsepower, rear wheel bias, all-wheel drive system, nice looking interior, standard Apple and Android. It does what it says it's going to do. So yes, that's a perfect example. Some other products, maybe not so much, but I think in the next few years, you're going to see that the Koreans, and you see it in the quality scores. If you look at Consumer Reports or you look at J.D. Power, the Korean manufacturers continue year after year to get better and better and better. So I think a lot of these perceptions we have of brands are really not justified. Hey, Zach, your comments on the last folder, I'm not sure what that is, Consumer Reports concerning most reliable brands. Thank you. So you might be referring to, and this is one of the reasons why I want you to go and follow along on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, go and search out Motormouth and like the page, because I put a lot of news stories on there. And one of them that I shared this week was, Consumer Reports ranks the domestic brands below industry average, which flies right in the face of other studies that are done from other outlets. And I think, and I've said this for years, I believe that Consumer Reports is a skewed study, because you've got to remember, what does Consumer Reports do? Consumer Reports takes information from their subscribers. So they get about 300,000 to 400,000 people reply to their survey, and they're typically older males and more conservative. The reason why they subscribe to Consumer Reports is they want to find out what the best laptop is, or the best dishwasher, or the best fridge. So these are kind of risk-averse people, maybe generally to start with, and they tend to go to tried and true brands. And they also, once you've made a commitment to buy, say, a Prius or a Camry or an Altima, you're going to back it up. And this is true too of people. I was talking to somebody the other day about studies that they've done in the auto industry around Tesla. So Tesla doesn't have the same quality as other brands, but they get a massive pass from people who own them because they bought so much into the ecosystem that they just say it's the greatest vehicle ever, even though, oh yeah, have you had any repairs done? Oh yeah, I had that done, I had that done, I had that done. Well, why don't you say it's not being reliable? Oh, it's the best car ever. It's because they've been drinking the Kool-Aid. And I think a lot of the people that are Consumer Reports, fill out their surveys are drinking the Kool-Aid that only Japanese cars are the best. You see it year after year after year. It's always Toyota and Lexus, and they do make good cars. But if you look at JD Power, how come Porsche's at the top of the list? Because people who are maybe Consumer Reports subscribers are not, performance car buyers. So that's my thought on Consumer Reports. Ryan says 30 minutes is good. 30 minutes is a bad place to be. I don't know. Somebody else says, and so I was asking the question, how long should this chat be? So I don't know. I think I'll do an hour. Hey, you can bail out whenever you want. If you're getting bored and it's too long, well, come and see me next week. But I think I got to get through some of these questions. Hey, Zach, do you know when the Elantra Sport will be revealed? I'm not sure. There is, oh, you mean the facelifted one? Yes, they have and there's another vehicle we had a chance to drive when we were with Hyundai just yesterday, driving the new Elantra facelifted. And it's one of those cars that maybe when you see it in pictures, you go, it doesn't look that good. But when you actually see it in person, you see it driving on the road, the front of it, even though some people say it looks like a Ford Focus, it's actually pretty good. But yes, they have to do the sport version of that. We'll have to wait and see. Probably, I would guess, next year, sometime in 2019. Matt says, an hour is a great time for me. I always miss the live stream and end up watching it later. Somebody else says an hour is good. So yeah, I watched the entire show, 60 minutes. Good show. Okay, so I think that's what I'll do. I'll stick with an hour, and then you can bail out if it's too long for you. Pars says, your thoughts on the BMW chief saying he's sick of hearing critics say E46 was the last real M3. What are your thoughts on his comments on the E46 M3? I never could find a review of your E46 M3. I think because E46, what year was it stopped making? I only started doing really reviews in 2012, so I wouldn't have access to an old E46, but I would have done an E46 on the TV show that I host across the country, which is called Driving TV. It's interesting, a lot of people don't like the E36 M3, but I really like that car because I like the size of it, which is one of the reasons why I like the new 2 Series in the M2, because I just think a lot of these cars are getting too big. Somebody says, what's Genesis waiting for to roll out SUVs? Would have been more obvious to roll these models out before sedans, knowing consumers' demand. Any updates you can provide? Thanks. So I did try to get some information on the people from Hyundai about Genesis, but they have a real line inside the company that they actually have Genesis people and they have Hyundai people. The same way at Volkswagen, even though their head office in Canada, for example, is in the same building, Audi has nothing to do with VW and VW has nothing to do with Audi. And you're starting to see that delineation now at Hyundai, where Genesis has its own PR people, its own product planners and what have you, and the Hyundai side has their own people. So I asked about Genesis when I was with the Hyundai people in California yesterday, and they wouldn't really comment on a lot of the questions. They talked off the record, but it wasn't anything that they could really share with me because they're not integrated into the brand every single day. What is going to happen is, stay tuned. Trust me, Genesis knows that they need an SUV. They know it's coming. It's in the works. They have, I think, 2 or 3 SUVs coming. But you know, you just can't flick a switch and make a brand new car. Here's the thing. How long do you think it takes to design, engineer, and manufacture a new vehicle? What do you think it is? Is it 18 months? Is it 24 months? It's about 5 years for a car company. So the cars that we're getting now, that car there, probably they started engineering and designing that car 5 years ago. The new Q3, same thing. It's probably 5, maybe even longer than that. And here's the thing is, so there's the new Q3. They have already designed the facelift that we'll see in 3 or 4 years. That's already been done. Yes, they can make some modifications, but the idea of what it's going to be, it's already been planned out. Trust me on that. So it takes a long time to get these things going. And then I think they also want to see how the Genesis brand is doing to see how quickly they're going to bring them in. By the way, your left eye doesn't look so good. It's pretty red. I have had this ongoing thing with my eye. About once a month, I get this burst blood vessel in my left eye, and it's kind of dry. I went to the ophthalmologist, and he said, it's nothing really to worry about, but yeah, it's not pretty, I'll tell you that. Pablo says, why do manufacturers push panoramic sunroofs? We already answered that. Hey, Zach, I was wondering if it's normal for brand new Cayenne, I was wondering if it's normal for a brand new Cayenne for the brakes to make a lot of sound. The dealer told me it's normal to brake harder instead of soft braking. That is absolutely true. One of the issues that we have in North America is we don't drive our vehicles the same way that the vehicles were designed to be driven. For example, if you're going to buy a Cayenne or an AMG Mercedes or an M car from BMW, they're meant to be driven hard on the Autobahn. And when you go to the Autobahn, it's the actual pace for the average driver is about 160 kilometers an hour, which is right around, what is that in miles per hour? About 100 miles an hour? Is it that high? Yeah, right around there. And then you get the higher performance cars start passing you at 180, 200, 220, and you need a lot of brake to slow a car down quickly, okay? So our cars are not driven to what they're engineered to do. So yes, the advice from your dealer is, you know, you can jam on the brakes every once in a while, and that really does help with the squeaking, and the noise is something that you have to get used to. Any thoughts on the Subaru WRX? I think the Subaru WRX is a great product. I mean, you think about what it offers for the price. It's a 4-door sporty car with a turbocharged engine, all-wheel drive, and you know, a simple, clean design that I think is really attractive on the inside. They have upgraded continually the interior, which in earlier versions was really cheap and cheerful on the inside. Now they've added much better head units in there. So yeah, it's a great product. And if you think about what you get for your money, it is really a compelling package, especially for people who live in climates where it's cold. So if you put a good set of winter tires on that car, you are totally the boss of the road in winter conditions. So I got no issues with the WRX. Excuse me. One of the issues is, for some people, is having a continuously variable transmission as the automatic. But I would say that you have to try it. I mean, a lot of people just discount the car altogether because it's got a CVT. Now, in very hard driving, I would say yes, the CVT shows its hand. But just for everyday commuting, it's surprisingly good. So give it a shot. And if you can drive manual, that's the one to get. Hey, Zach, new Cayenne, new X5, or new GLE? This is the same question in the beginning. I haven't driven the X5 or the GLE. I got to drive them. The GLE I'll be driving in 2 weeks. The X5 hopefully soon. But right now, the Cayenne is the one to beat. Asim says, hey, Zach, which one would you recommend? The XT4 or the new Audi Q3? Priorities are comfort, refinement, smooth, reliable ride, and reliability. Also, would you consider the new Santa Fe to save money? Well, yeah, let's just take the Santa Fe out of it for a moment because you're totally talking apples and oranges. But the new XT4 and the new Q3 are absolutely direct competitors. There's the Q3 there. And I also want you to drive the XC40. That's the Volvo. In fact, I would say for interior use of space, the Volvo wins. I would say for in-dash technology, the Audi's got it. And I would say for a good all-rounder, the Cadillac is pretty compelling. And the Cadillac actually has a unique kind of design to it. But if you're looking for comfort, refined, smooth ride and reliability, I think it's, you know, we have to wait to see what it's going to be like with the Cadillac. But they're all new vehicles. The one that actually has a repair record and a reliability score that you can look at is the Volvo. But the weak link in the Volvo is the electronics. They have been known to be a little buggy and sometimes slow, and that is something you have to decide. What I recommend is, if you're not in a rush, just wait, because they're all going to be out. So the Volvo is out now. You can go to a dealership and test drive one now. The XT4 is at dealerships now, and then the new Q3 is arriving in the spring. So you need to drive them all. If you want to save money, absolutely nothing wrong with the Santa Fe. I think it's you know, I saw one driving the street today. Really smart looking vehicle. I think they did a nice job with that. Matt says, do you think maintenance costs will be less with an electric car over 15 years? Or will you just end up fixing expensive electronic components, battery, then brakes and tires? Well, you know, this is one of the areas that people who are promoting electric cars say there's way less maintenance. You know, there's less moving parts. You don't have to worry about a transmission and an engine and all those sorts of things. But, you know, engines and transmissions in modern cars today have proven to be very, very reliable over hundreds and hundreds of thousands of kilometers. The average car going to the wrecker now has over 300,000 kilometers on it. That's, 180,000 miles or something like that. So, you know, cars these days, and you got to remember, the cars that are going to the wreckers now are about, 10 years old. So yes, that's one of the things about electric cars that everybody talks about. But what nobody wants to talk about, and a lot of the car manufacturers won't tell you the price, because they say, well, the replacement cycle for a battery is going to be, 8-10 years, and we don't know what the cost of the battery is going to be, because in 8 and 10 years we're going to be making so many of them that batteries will be cheaper. Well, that's a big if, right? Is it really going to happen? So that's the big question. An electric car with a dead battery is worth nothing. Nobody wants it, okay? An electric car with a good battery has some value. And one of the issues I have with the retained value of electric cars is that, and you're starting to see that now, every couple of years there's going to be new updates, cars with bigger batteries, more powerful electric motors, new connectivity and all those sorts of things, which is one of the reasons why I truly believe, initially anyway, electric cars are great to lease, to see if, maybe 3 years from now there's a new upgraded model, that might be the one to get. So yes, probably there are going to be less components to fail, but one big component that could fail is the battery. And what's the cost of that? If it's going to cost $5,000 to replace the battery and the car's worth $5,000, the car's worth nothing. So these are things to think about. Jiz Jing says, I'm not a fan of sunroofs. I'm not either. I don't like sunroofs at all. I close them all the time. When I travel with my camera guy, Brian from Driving TV, he likes the sunroof open. We're always fighting about it. I don't like the sun shining in on the back side of my sunglasses. The sun shines in here and reflects off my sunglasses. I don't like that. Works Guy says, invest in Canadian pot stocks. Well, a lot of people are doing that. I mean, if you're watching this in the US, pot's legal now in Canada, and there's these high-flying, pardon the pun, pot stocks. I think it's going to be a big investment thing for many, many people for years. Adib says, even the base Model 3 is too expensive in Canada. Niro EV and Kona EVs, what middle class will settle for. Okay, so I didn't drive the Kona EV, but we had lots of discussions around the Kona EV over beers during the Hyundai Veloster event, because of course it's made by Hyundai. So Mike Gurr put a video on this week about the Kona EV, and you can go and watch it. The issue I have with the Kona EV is it really is no bigger. It's sort of marketed as a utility vehicle, but if you look at it, it's front-wheel drive only. Okay, so what does that sound like? Sounds like the Bolt. It's actually a subcompact utility. Well, that sounds around the same size as the Bolt. If you actually look at the numbers about the interior space and volume, they're pretty close. Yes, the Kona EV gets over 400 kilometers of electric range, but the Bolt gets just under 400. So they're within 40 kilometers of electric range. Is that really going to be a deal breaker? I don't know. The big one is the price of the Kona EV has not been announced yet in Canada, but asking relentlessly what's the cost going to be over the last couple of days. They didn't say what the price is going to be, but I think that if they really want to make a statement with this car, I think it needs to be priced lower than the Chevy Bolt. But even then, the vehicle and the vehicle size that is going to get people excited about an electric car is a vehicle the size of a CR-V or a RAV4, a Nissan Rogue, a Volkswagen Tiguan, something that size, but not much more than the regular gasoline car. We're a long way away from that because you can't make these vehicles at a similar price. That's why everything is a sedan now, and that's why anything that's a utility for the most part is small. Thanks for answering my first question. Curious about what makes my province of Quebec a different car market from the rest of Canada. Oh wow, there's a lot going on there. First of all, Quebec is dominated by a lot of very small cars. The interesting thing is I get people asking me all the time, I want a utility because I want 4x4 because I drive in the snow. You go to the province of Quebec, there's a lot of people drive little cars like the Toyota Yaris, they drive the Honda Fit, they drive Fiestas and Accents and little cars. They put good winter tires on them and they can get pretty much anywhere and they get a lot of snow. So one thing is there's cars on average in the province of Quebec are less expensive. The Quebecers buy the cheaper versions. And then you go to the opposite end of the extreme when you come to British Columbia where I live. Most of the vehicles are at the higher end and not the lower end. Quebecers buy more small cars, they buy more front-wheel drive cars, and they're the one province that actually buys manual transmissions. So those are three of the things that I would say Quebec is quite different. Plus they speak French. Best way to negotiate a 2017 or 18 Ford Escape. Also get X plan on top. Okay, I don't know exactly what you're, but what's the best deal to get a 17 or 18 Ford Escape? Okay, so this brings me perfectly in, and I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, and you're going to start to see this logo popping up on the channel. Car Cost Canada is going to be sponsoring the channel, and this is, I'm going to be perfectly transparent with you right now. I have done work in the past for leasebusters.com. And most people in the Canadian market have heard of leasebusters.com. Well, the same people that run leasebusters.com also have Car Cost Canada. And all this is a service for you if, say, for example, you're looking at a 2018 Ford Escape, you go to carcostcanada.com and you do a search for the vehicle that you want. So you pay 2018 Ford Escape, you want a 4-cylinder, maybe you want the EcoBoost, you want this package, that package. It shows you the cost that a dealer will pay for the vehicle. So you already know how much markup there is on the vehicle. Any discounts, if there's any rebates in play, if there's any secret discounts, because often there's some secret discounts that the consumer doesn't know about, plus you get the discounted interest rate. Say, for example, Ford of Canada has a 0.9% interest rate or even $0 in any special lease rates, anything. If you're a military member, if you're disabled, if you're a new student, if you're a first-time buyer, there's all kinds of discounts and rebates that you can get. So my advice to you is, how do you get the best deal on a 2018 Ford Escape? Go to Car Cost Canada, and anybody that's looking for a new car, you owe it to yourself to go and search. The first search is free. It costs nothing to sign up. It's not like they're, it's basically a service where you're going to save money. And the best way I describe it to people is you hire an accountant to save money on taxes, and that money you spend on your accountant is the best money you spend all year. Because, for example, you pay your accountant $300, but he saves you $3,000 at the end of the year on your income tax. Well, that was the best money you ever spent. So if you go and do more than one search at Car Cost Canada, the fees are very, very low, and you're going to be able to get a report that you can either get them to call the dealer or you take to the dealer and say, hey, I know exactly what you paid for the car, these are the discounts, and this is the price I want to pay. And that's how you're going to get the best deal. So that's what Car Cost Canada is, and that's what we're going to have on the channel. You're going to start to see that logo pop up. Are you a proponent of hydrogen? And he wants a 90-minute show. I don't know, Pierre. I don't want to do a 90-minute show. As you can tell, I cough a lot when I start talking a lot. So I don't think I could do that. What do I think of hydrogen? I think hydrogen is the long-term goal. Now, a lot of people ask, why would somebody want to use a hydrogen-powered vehicle compared to just a regular electric vehicle? Well, one of the reasons is because You can store energy in hydrogen that's maybe being wasted on the electric grid. Now that is also true for an electric car. So electric cars are going to be charged in overnight when people are sleeping. The one thing about electric plants that people don't realize is you can't turn them up and down. So an electrical plant is producing electricity to run your lights and your computers and heat your home. When the demand is lower at night, they don't just turn down the hydroelectric plant or whatever it is. It runs at the same energy output all the time. And that energy at night when there's less demand is lost. It's gone. You can never get it back. So you have to find ways to save it. Well, one way is if you had, tens of thousands of electric cars, well, you're saving that electricity in the battery. But also hydrogen is something that can be made using that electricity and stored. Now, the upside to it is that you pull into a filling station, you plug in your hydrogen car, and you're out of there in 3 to 5 minutes, the same way you are pulling into a Shell station today. So that is the upside. And the range is going to be 500-600 kilometers, just like a regular car. So the upside is you're going to be able to fill quickly, and hopefully at every filling station that's out there now, and you're going to get excellent range, and you're going to be able to store energy overnight. So yes, hydrogen is the way to go. What is it going to cost? I don't know. Every single hydrogen car that they have leased in Canada and the US right now as part of test fleets, they are not making one nickel on them. They're probably losing quite a bit. Raymond says, I have the new Cayenne base, awesome car. Just make sure to get the air suspension. I'm a bit mixed on the air suspension, Raymond. I would suggest that you get the Porsche Dynamic chassis control, okay? And that is that adjusts the suspension in the corners when you're cornering. What's interesting is I have a Cayenne and I drove the new one again last week. I was at the launch event at the Porsche dealer here talking a little bit about the Cayenne. They asked me to come and speak about the car because I had a chance to drive it a year ago in Greece, and it's quite a bit softer than the one that's it's replacing. So yeah, I would say air suspension, but Porsche Dynamic chassis control. Off the top of my head, I can't remember if you have to order them together or not, but PDCC is what I would certainly order. What is the car you're driving, Mr. Host? I have a Porsche Cayenne. I just talked about that. What are your thoughts on the Audi e-tron? I'm debating if putting down a deposit to get on the wait list. Well, Phil, I hopefully am going to be driving the e-tron in December. There was a very limited opportunity to drive the e-tron by just a handful of journalists in Africa just a few weeks ago, and there was only 2 journalists from Canada that got to go, and I wasn't one of them. But hopefully I'm going to be driving the e-tron in December, and I'll report back to you. Here's the thing that the traditional car manufacturers have over Tesla. Tesla, as I mentioned earlier, has been great at making aspirational electric cars. People have shelled out hundreds of thousands of dollars to get an electric car, where other manufacturers have struggled even with discounted leases to get people to buy electric cars. So Tesla has proven that people will spend money to buy an electric car. They have struggled with quality. The quality on the Model X is well below industry average. The Tesla Model S initially was not good. It's gotten better. We're starting to see that the Model 3 quality isn't as good as the Model S, but I'm sure Tesla will improve that. And when the big thing is that Tesla was making electric cars in much, much smaller batches. Now they're claiming to make anywhere from 4,000 to 6,000 Model 3s per week. And when you start ramping up productions of vehicles, that's when things can go wrong. So are we going to, I hope not, but maybe 12 to 24 months from now, we might see a lot of issues with Model 3s. We might not, I don't know. So what do traditional manufacturers like Mercedes, Audi, all of these other Porsches coming out with them, is they know how to make cars at a high quality, one after another. And the other thing that they do better than Tesla does, and that's, I don't think anybody's going to dispute, is the fact that they know how to make much nicer interiors. And for me, that's been a weak link with Tesla, is their interiors are shockingly bad, in my opinion, considering what they charge. So those are a couple of things. If you're not in a rush, wait, because I'll be able to drive it soon here. Hi, Zach. Love the show. Why don't most manufacturers offer standard lumbar? can't even get a Civic or an HR-V on any trims. That just comes down to a product planning perspective. So product planners, I mentioned it can take, 4 to 5 years for a new vehicle to come to the marketplace. There are literally people that sit in offices and look at spreadsheets of available features and options, the cost that each one is going to have, and what package they're going to put it into, and also try to guess what the competition is going to have in their vehicle. So when you start shopping for an Accord and a Camry, they all have pretty much the same features. There might be a few options here or there that one has and the other one doesn't have, but there are people that do that all the time. Then they complicate the factor by saying, oh, you want a sunroof, well, you've got to go one package up. Oh, you want heated steering wheel, you got to go one package up. So that's what product planners do. They plan to spend your money. Now, what I suspect is that Lumbar support, from the research that they've been able to gather from their existing clients on less expensive vehicles like the CR-V, maybe isn't a big selling feature. So they spend the money, or they put the money into something else. I have no idea what that is. But, if Honda isn't offering what you need in the Civic or the HR-V, shop somewhere else. That's why you have the power is in your wallet. You have the power. Peter Norris, what are your thoughts on paint protection film and ceramic coating? Is ceramic coating just the latest fad? I don't know how you drive your car. Interestingly enough, somebody that I know did get a Model 3 and sent me a message on Facebook and said, hey, I got my new Model 3. Should I get paint protection on it? And I said, well, where do you live and how far do you... So this person lives in an apartment building with an underground garage, and they drive about 15 minutes to work. And I said, what do you need paint protection for? Wash your car regularly and look after it. Now, on the other hand, if you live in a place like Alberta, where they put lots of grit and sand down in the wintertime, and the whole front of your car is going to get sanded, then yeah, that is something you want to consider. I would say that the protection film is going to give you better protection than the ceramic coating. So that's what I would say. If you're really concerned and you live in an area, say you do a lot of highway driving and you're going to get stone chips and things, the clear film is the way to go. I'm a real estate agent. I'm a car guy, but I need to buy an SUV for my next car used. I really like the Forester XT, but I'm thinking about something like a Mercedes ML BlueTech would be better. Suggestions? Okay. Now, if you're looking at an ML BlueTech, they stopped selling them about 2 years ago now, so this is going to be a used product. It's a great product, and I'm like you, I love diesel. And if you do a lot of driving and you're in your car all the time, and you're taking clients with you, Mercedes-Benz is a great product to be seen driving, to take clients in. And the BlueTech engine is a real workhorse that is going to deliver you great fuel economy. But please, 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 if you're going to be buying a used German car, you want to get it from a dealer that is offering a certified pre-owned warranty. You want to have that car under warranty as long as you can. So a CPO car, if you're lucky now, if you're looking for one that's 2 years old, that was sold when they were available to be sold, that's coming off a 2-year lease, for example, that's the kind of product you want to look at. So an ML would be a great choice. The X5 diesel is another great choice. There are the Audi, another one, the Audi Q5 TDI is out there as well. The Forester XT is great. It has a wonderful turbocharged engine. However, it has a continuously variable, it has a wonderful engine turbocharged, but a continuously variable transmission. And you need to drive it and try it to see if you like it. But the Forester XT can hustle along the road, no problem. Gerard says, I got a Mini Cooper regular 2013. Any issues I should look out for? Just be forewarned that Mini as a brand has below industry average in terms of reliability and quality. So my advice to you is, I don't know all the issues about that particular car. You do yourself a favor and go to a Mini web forum. For any car that's available in the marketplace, you just type in Mini Cooper forum or Mini Cooper chat room, and you'll find a place where other people with that car are posting these kinds of questions and answers. Don't go down the rabbit hole, because you got to remember, the only people that post problems are people that have problems. Nobody posts and says, oh, it's Tuesday today, my car's running great. That never happens. They only go, it's Tuesday today and my car wouldn't start. So remember, all of the stuff you see there are all the problems, but you'll start to see a trend for what the issues might be. I'm not sure which one you have, if you have an S or what have you. But a fun car, but be aware that it isn't as reliable as other products on the road. Yinan says, deciding between 3 cars, Arteon, cool car, A4 and A5. The Arteon is priced right in between the A4 and the A5. Arteon is a bit bigger, which is good, but not a real deal breaker for me. Would appreciate your thoughts on this. Okay, the Arteon is like an Audi A5 with the Golf R driveline. That's kind of what it's like. And I was really impressed with it. So I had a chance to drive the Arteon in Germany. We went to Autostadt and Wolfsburg, where Volkswagen's head office is, of course. There is a video on the channel. I encourage you to search and type in Arteon, and you'll see the review I did for the car. But I actually think that the Arteon is kind of closer really to the A7. It's not as big as an A7, but it is bigger than an A5. They're all great choices. I like all of them. The Arteon is going to be nicely packaged. It's coming with one trim, one price. Basically all you choose is the color. I think there's one optional package for advanced safety features, but that's about it. But yeah, really nice package. It has the same driveline, engine, transmission, all-wheel drive system as the Golf R, and it has a similar feel to it. So yeah, it's a cool car. The one thing about that is that there won't be many on the road. So that's a cool thing about it. Mark C says, Porsche 911 Turbo S or 911 GT3 Touring, which one would you pick? Well, that's so easy. The 911 GT3 Touring might be the best car I've ever driven. It might be the best car I've ever driven. I drove it in May or June, I believe, in Germany, around Munich. The video is on the channel. Go and watch it. I was like a kid in a candy store. So my 2 favorite driver's cars over the last couple of years have been the GT3 Touring from Porsche and the Mustang GT350. Different approach to the same philosophy, which is a naturally aspirated manual transmission, and just go out and have some fun and listen to the beautiful noise. One has the flat crank V8. The other one has, you know, the naturally aspirated, what is it? I'm trying to remember what the horsepower is. 500 horsepower or something like that in the GT3. What a car. What a car. Hands down my favorite. Derek Burks, when is the Dodge Journey getting a new body, style, or refresh? I don't know. I don't know. If I was betting, and it is coming, and it might not be, it would be the Detroit show. I think what's holding back electric cars is the expensive batteries. A big battery tech breakthrough that lowers costs using less rare earth materials will likely bring EVs to the mainstream. You know what? Everybody keeps saying there's going to be this big battery breakthrough that's coming. Well, we've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and they've been able. The one thing that the manufacturers, and Tesla actually has been one of the leaders in this, is actually getting the charge into the battery and the charge out of the battery quicker. But the actual makeup of the batteries hasn't changed that much. Are we going to get a big breakthrough? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see, but I don't think anything's on the horizon. Charles Ng, is the A4 manual any good? I haven't driven it, but the fact that it's available is cool. I do believe it's the less powerful engine. It's not the 252 horsepower engine. But if you can get your hands on one, give it a try. I haven't driven it. Joe M says, please do at least an hour. You rock. Somebody else says 60 minutes, like 60 Minutes on CBS. Are we on at the same time? We might be. That's on Sundays as well. So it seems like people like the 1 hour. I thought, you know, maybe we'd want this shorter, but there you go. Choice between the Q5 Acura RDX. I'm leaning towards the RDX. I think, and I've said this before, I think the RDX is going to be a vehicle that is going to be snapped up in huge numbers because it offers so much value for the dollar. You know, you've got the turbo 2-liter 4-cylinder, you've got the 10-speed automatic, beautifully put together interior, really nice looking design, lots of standard equipment, all of those sorts of things. I think it's going to do incredibly well. So back to my point about Car Cost Canada. One of the reasons why I think that you should go to Car Cost Canada and look this up, say you're down to a Q5 and an RDX, and you kind of know what your trim is, right? You know you want to have an S-Line Q5, and the RDX you want the Elite package or whatever it's called. So you're going to go in there and you're going to be able to put in the information you need on the one, and you're going to do a search for the second one, and then you're going to get a report on either one showing you the dealer's cost any rebates that are at play, any secret rebates that are not public, made to the public, and any discounted rates. And what happens often is when you get two vehicles like this, it's the price at the end of the month that it's going to cost you to have that vehicle that is the deciding factor. In a lot of these decisions, when it's between two vehicles, it's the cost to buy or lease the vehicle that is the tiebreaker. And that's where Car Cost Canada is going to be able to help you. Hey Zach, do you still upload the MP3 version? It's funny you mentioned that because just before I started this, I did think to myself, I haven't done that. So if you go to SoundCloud and type in Motormouth, I think it's still under Motormouth Canada, we'll put the MP3 version up for podcast. Zach, a fun car, used late model S2000 for around 25 to 30, or a first gen Cayman for 35 to 40. This is an easy one, and I'm going to surprise you. A lot of people think, Zach, you're going to go right to Porsche. No. S2000 is a car that is going to go up in value, in my opinion. The S2000 is collectible now, and I think it's going to be collectible in the future, and I think that there would be a good investment. So not only can you drive it and have some fun, I think that if you ever decided to sell it 5-10 years from now, there's always going to be good money. It might not go up in value, but I think there's always going to be good money to be had with that vehicle. DJ Pleasure Seeking Missile. Now that's quite a handle for YouTube. DJ Pleasure Seeking Missile. Hey Zach, do you think VW is bringing the Amarok to North America? I talked about this last week. No, it's not. They have already announced, I think it was at the New York show this spring, they showed a concept of a pickup truck based on the Atlas platform. Okay, so I am going to, this week, with Volkswagen, going to see the very last Beetle being made in Puebla, Mexico. Going to be down there for Mexican Halloween, which apparently is a big deal down there. So that's going to be fun to see that. But I will ask. But yes, there is going to be a pickup truck based on the Atlas platform. It's not officially been announced, but I think it's coming. Seems to be everybody likes the 1 hour. Matt says, what do you think about the Acura not using laminated glass on the pano roof in the new RDX? Does seem safe, especially for a little child or infant in the car seat. Okay, you've got to remember that laminated glass is like safety glass. It shatters into tiny little granules. You've seen it probably when someone smashed a car window and it's all on the ground or inside the seat. So that is what it's designed to do. So the fact that it's not like a windshield where you hit it and it all sticks together, they've obviously done their homework on that. And you know, it's like the side windows in a car. If someone shatters them or breaks them, then you get into these little granules. And it doesn't seem as sharp for some reason. You'd have to ask a glass expert about that. I'm just telling you what I know. Jacques says, hey Zach, what do you think of the new Kia Niro hybrid for reliability? I don't know. I haven't had a chance to look at any reliability scores specifically about that car. All I can tell you is Kia as a brand has been shooting the lights out in terms of quality scores, not only from J.D. Power, but also you're seeing them score very well from Consumer Reports. So overall, as a brand, Hyundai and Kia are doing very, very well. That's all I can tell you. What do you think of the Nissan Altima? Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Altima because they've added all-wheel drive. So if you don't know, Altima for the Canadian market will now come standard with all-wheel drive. It's also going to be available with the variable compression 2-liter turbocharged engine. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know, because if you look at Legacy from Subaru that has already been available in the marketplace with standard all-wheel drive, they don't really sell that many of them. It's Camry, Accord, and then there's everybody else in the mid-size space. Altima in the US is a much, much more popular car. We'll have to wait and see. I haven't driven it yet, so let's stay tuned for that. Used, reliable, sporty, luxury car around $18,000 to $20,000. That's fun to drive. Okay, now I don't know what your priority is in terms of number one. Is it reliable? I would think for $18,000 to $25,000, reliability is probably going to be the most important thing, because you're not spending a lot on a premium luxury car, therefore it's used, so you want it not to break down. I think for that car, I would say I would look at a Lexus IS, the 6-cylinder version with the larger 6-cylinder engine. So it was available with different displacements. If you can find the larger 6-cylinder Lexus IS, Lexus known for producing high quality cars, there's lots of them around at that price point. I think that would be a good place to start. King Lion says electric cars don't match with cold countries. That is true to a certain extent. Range is definitely hindered. Yeah, it is an issue. But I think that, you know, by making vehicles with bigger batteries, I think it's going to be something that they can get around. But yeah, I had the, you know, somebody's always writing on the Facebook page. Once again, it's an opportunity for me to plug it. Go to Facebook and go to the Motormouth page and like it. I put lots of stories on there, and there's one person always going on about electric cars because you guessed it, they own a Tesla. They're like reformed smokers. They want everybody to buy into it. But here's the thing, you know, with the rebate gone now in the province of Ontario, $14,000, you wait to see how few electric cars are sold unless there's cash on the hood from the government. You know, and I've been saying for years, I don't think that we should be giving people money off personal transportation. That money should be going into infrastructure projects around transportation. That shouldn't be going into somebody's pocket so they can buy the latest new electric car. I just don't believe it. I think if you're going to give rebates for electric cars, you should give rebates for hybrid cars, and you should give rebates for people driving very efficient small cars. In the province of BC where I live, years ago, I don't know what it was, 10 years ago, they used to give you a few $1,000s off if you bought a subcompact economy car. So if you bought a Fiesta or a Fit or a Yaris, you got a couple of grand off. They sold like crazy. If we got people actually buying smaller cars, would do a lot for the environment. Jay Drake says, hey Zach, I recently purchased the WRX. I'm enjoying it very much. My question, is there a break-in period? My dealer says there's no break-in period. It's the least read book in the world. The least read book in the world. Open your owner's manual. It's the glove box. It's in there in a little thing. You pull it out and you read it. Look, whatever the manufacturer suggests. That book in your glove box is the Bible for your car, written by the engineers that designed your car. So whatever they say is what you should be doing. For example, I got a new car this spring in March. It's a diesel. The break-in period is 3,000 kilometers. No full throttle for 3,000 kilometers. I would guarantee you there is some minor break-in period for WRX, but open the least read book in the world, the owner's manual. That's the other joke, is what is the newest thing on a used car that's never been used? Owner's manual. Is the Chrysler 300 is like a fantasy car compete with BMW Infiniti sedans? No, it's not in the same realm as those, but it's interesting. We're driving in California at the Veloster event, and we were driving behind a brand new Chrysler 300, and I said to Brian, who I was driving with, I said, you know, if I was going to go on a long cross-country trip, that is a very, very comfortable car. And even Consumer Reports that craps all over FCA and domestic cars, even they acknowledge that the Chrysler 300 and the Dodge Charger have the best reliability of the FCA brand, because it's been around for a long time. It's a really nice car to drive on the highway. What was your first car? You won't believe this. My first car was a 1949 Buick. I don't look that old, I know. My dad saw this car parked on the street, and he thought it would be kind of a fun thing for us to restore as a father-son kind of thing. We never did get around to restoring it, but I used to drive it every day to school in Toronto. I used not in the winter, but in the spring, summer, and fall, I would pick up my friends. It was huge. So if you've ever seen the movie Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, the car in that movie is a 1949 Buick Roadmaster. I had the 1949 Buick Super. But my real first car that I drove was, I had an old Volkswagen Rabbit, an orange one with black wheels. It was kind of cool. Mika says, do you know or think you'll be reviewing the RAV4? Yes, I don't think you were here at the very beginning, but I am going to be driving the RAV4 next week in Carmel, California. So yes, I will have that video out as soon as I can. Sorry if you've asked this before. What are your family members' daily drivers? So our family slash business vehicle, because I'm in the car business, is a Porsche Cayenne. I also have an old Toyota Tacoma that I used for, you know, running errands, going to the dump, gardening, all that kind of stuff. And now it's been a couple of years ago that I sold my 911. I had a Carrera 4S, air-cooled Carrera 4S. Which would you buy, the Kia Stinger or the Genesis G70, and why? I love the Stinger for the design. I owned an Audi A7, and it's so similar to that vehicle in terms of design, the Audi A7, which of course I owned, so I like that design, but I think the suspension is too soft for me. I prefer the G70 with the turbo 6-cylinder. That's the one that I would pick. Zach, what makes the TD6 the engine to get in the Range Rover Sport? 440 pound-feet of torque. In my opinion, well, here's the thing. Range Rovers have notoriously been horrible on fuel because they're big trucks, okay? Even though they're not built on a truck platform anymore, they are big trucks. So that, it gives you the torque in that Range Rover, and it's also available in the Land Rover Discovery, the TD6 engine, is just perfect for moving a large vehicle like that. If you go to Europe, almost all of the vehicles that you see on the road are Range Rovers and Land Rovers use diesel engines because diesel is so good at low speed torque, getting a big vehicle like that up and out of the pocket. Now at high speed driving, we don't do the high speeds they do in other parts of the world. So it really, in my opinion, is the best way to go. Now, if you can afford to put the gas in some of those really high performance supercharged Range Rovers, yeah, go for it, but they suck gas. So you get great fuel economy with the TD6 and you get that amazing torque. Well, we're up against the clock. Once again, go to Facebook, hit the like for Motormouth. You'll see all the news stories that I post through the week, and we're getting some good comments on there. And Instagram has actually been getting a big uptick lately. So I think a lot of people like Instagram. So go to Instagram and type in Motormouth_auto, and you'll see me there and follow along. Once again, going to drive the Beetle, or see the last Beetle being made in Mexico. RAV4 next week in California will be there, and I'll be driving the Mercedes GLE. I just realized I might not be back that Sunday after driving the GLE, so I'll let you know next week if it's going to be a live show the week after. But that's what's going on. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. Once again, Car Cost Canada, if you're searching for a new vehicle, do it because you are going to save money. It's that simple. I'm not trying to pitch you on something that I don't believe in. You will save money if you're looking for a car. So go to carcostcanada.com. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching. Speak to you next week. Bye now.